I've been fundraising for the last 5 years for my business, and I've only raised $3,000. And so to be a manufacturer, you need more than $3,000 to get a leg up in this America right now.
Wait, some people think you're doing a disservice to your daughter because you took the entrepreneurial route. What do they want you to do? Like have a 9 to 5 job or something?
Absolutely. That's what my mom wants. That's what my dad wants. That's what my brother wants. That's what my sister wants. And those are, primarily my biggest family members. And everyone is saying I need to go and get a job.
I mean, a business is a job, but I guess that's the case you try to make.
Absolutely. And so it's been a journey these last 5 years, and I can't wait to show them that this is where I'm staying.
Nika Brown is the founder and CEO of Innovative Supplies Worldwide, a school supply business in Louisiana. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you.
Her innovationsupplies.net has a lot of school notebooks with really vivid covers with African American themes. I'm David Brancaccio with the Marketplace Morning Report from APM, American Public Media.
North Florida TPO, proud sponsor of WJCT's First Coast Connect, bringing to the community innovation in transportation planning, commuter services, clean fuels, and intelligent transportation systems. More at northfloridatpo.com.
Baptist Health is a proud sponsor of First Coast Connect with Melissa Ross.
Wayne Hogan of the Terrell Hogan Law Firm.
I'm Wayne Hogan. Distracted driving is deadly. Teens? Yes, but adults too. And there are millions more adults than teens. Arrive alive. Let's end distracted driving.
Learn more at waynehogan.law.
This is WJCT News 89.9 Jacksonville. Ahead in the next 5 minutes, live local news for the First Coast from the WJCT News team.
More First Coast parents mobilize around masks for their kids. I'm Melissa Ross, and just ahead this hour on First Coast Connect, 4 Florida counties, including Duval, now say they'll require a mask mandate for school children in defiance of Governor Ron DeSantis. We'll find out why some parents in St. Johns County are calling for a similar mandate for the St. Johns County schools. That's ahead, then later.
I got her phone after she passed. I needed to know because we had suspected when she got so sick that maybe she hadn't been vaccinated.
A son's heartbreak after his mother passed of COVID-19. He learned she'd lied to him about being vaccinated. That and more, just ahead. After the day's news.
Live from NPR News, I'm Janine Herbst. President Biden wants automakers to focus on electric vehicles to cut greenhouse gas emissions. Today, he'll be joined by the heads of Ford and GM at the White House, where he plans to sign an executive order setting a target to make half of all new vehicles sold in 2030 zero-emission vehicles. NPR's Asma Khalid reports it's about climate change and also business.
Transportation, it's a major source of greenhouse gas emissions, and the president has this target to cut emissions in half by 2030. I will say this focus is not really just about climate, it's also about China. This administration really has competition with China at the center of a lot of its policies. This is no different. They're worried that China is cornering the global electric vehicle market, and they need to act quickly and aggressively to prevent that.
NPR's Asma Khalid. Biden will also announce new fuel economy standards through the 2026 model year that use California's tougher regulations as a starting point. Debate on a roughly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill is inching along in the Senate. NPR's Windsor Johnston reports lawmakers continue to haggle over a string of amendments as they work toward a final vote on the measure.
Senators have proposed nearly 300 amendments to the bill, but have so far only considered 8 of them. It's unclear when Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer will cut off debate. Republicans have warned him against acting too quickly, or he could risk losing announcing their support for the measure, which requires 60 votes to pass. The infrastructure package includes billions of dollars in new spending on the nation's roads, bridges, and railways. Senate Democrats are also aiming to pass a budget resolution that would set the stage for a much larger spending plan focused on education, child care, and initiatives to combat climate change. That proposal has no support from Republicans. Windsor Johnston, NPR News, Washington.
As COVID-19 cases continue to surge in Japan, setting a record today, officials have put more of the country under restrictions. NPR's Anthony Kuhn has more from Seoul.
The central government placed 8 of Japan's 47 prefectures under states of quasi-emergency. That means more than 70% of the population is now under some form of restrictions, mostly voluntary. Yatsutoshi Nishimura, the cabinet minister in charge of the COVID response, said serious cases have doubled in the past 2 weeks, and some medical advisors are calling for a nationwide emergency. But Prime Minister Yoshihide Suga says he's not considering that now. Suga is under fire for a new policy that sets aside hospital beds for only the most serious cases. As a result, the Asahi newspaper reports that there are more than 14,000 patients in Tokyo alone, some of whom require oxygen, who are stuck at home without medical treatment. Anthony Kuhn, NPR News, Seoul.
U.S. futures contracts are trading positive at this hour. You're listening to NPR News.
The time is now 4 minutes after 9. This is WJCT News 89.9 in Jacksonville. I'm Michelle Corum. Jacksonville Mayor Lenny Curry says he has no plans to mandate masks or vaccinations as Florida and the greater Jacksonville area become epicenters of a national COVID surge. At a news conference yesterday, Curry said Duval County experienced a surge last year, even though he had mandated mask wearing indoors wherever social distancing was not possible. He says vaccinations are the priority now, though he isn't requiring them for city employees.
I'm not discouraging wearing masks. If people want to wear masks, if businesses want to require it, they should do that, and people should honor and respect that. If people get vaccinated, we won't be in this situation.
The CDC says masking in indoor public settings is effective at reducing the spread of COVID and recommends them for everyone over the age of 2 in areas of high transmission, like Jacksonville. U.S. government forecasters say they expect the Atlantic hurricane season to be busier than they first thought. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration updated its hurricane outlook yesterday. Forecasters now expect 15 to 21 named storms, with 7 to 10 of them becoming hurricanes. This year's hurricane season has already gotten off to a busy start, with Elsa forming as the earliest named 5th storm on record. Overcast and 76 degrees right now in Jacksonville. Today, showers and thunderstorms, some of them producing heavy rain.
Support for NPR comes from NPR stations. Other contributors include Ooma, a cloud-based phone service for small and medium-sized businesses with an automated virtual receptionist, video meetings, and mobility features to run their businesses from anywhere. More at ooma.com.
Florida counties are now defying the governor and masking up school kids for the start of class. Good morning. We're live from Studio 5. I'm Melissa Ross, and this is First Coast Connect. Thanks for listening. Just ahead, why parents in St. Johns County say their kids need a mask mandate too. We want to hear from you, St. Johns. Give us a call now, 549-2937. Then later, dealing with the critical nursing shortage in local hospitals as exhausted healthcare workers battle the epicenter of the virus here. First, though, some numbers on the pandemic. Keep in mind the state is no longer providing daily data for us, so we must turn to the Florida Hospital Association. They reported Wednesday there were 16,935 new cases of COVID and 12,000 plus confirmed hospitalizations. The CDC Wednesday reported 140 new deaths from COVID-19. That is nearly 23% of the deaths across the country. Okay, so in the midst of this exploding pandemic of the Delta variant across Florida, it's been remarkable to watch this week At least 4 Florida school districts now, including both Duval and Alachua counties, say they will defy Governor Ron DeSantis' executive order banning school boards from requiring masks for students. One other local district, St. Johns County, says they're just going to keep masks optional. But they are now being met with opposition from a group of concerned parents advocating for a change in policy, given the incredible surge in cases and hospitalizations from COVID-19 across North Florida. We begin the hour with a closer look as we welcome Colleen Jones, reporter for the St. Augustine Record. Hi, Colleen.
Good morning, Melissa.
And also with us, Heather P., the co-founder of the new group, Doctors and Community Members for Masks in St. Johns County Schools. Hey, Heather. Heather, good to talk to you.
Hello, Melissa.
Good morning. Already getting lots of calls. Let's hear from you, St. Johns County, 549-2937. Emails to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. Tweets to @MelissaNJax. Our Facebook page open as well. In a moment, we'll hear from Heather about her new group of parents and doctors and how they are taking a leaf out of the book that was formed in Duval County. Of course, we saw doctors and parents in Duval County successfully persuade the school board to defy the governor and mandate masks with an opt-out. But let's begin with Colleen Jones of the St. Augustine Record. Colleen, what is going on with this in St. Johns County? What is the school district saying?
So currently, right now, they are still sticking with a policy that they had adopted July 13th that put in place protocols for COVID-19 that basically were discussed at the end of last school year and made masks optional even as the school facilities were open throughout the summer, and that would continue through the beginning of the school year, August 16. There have been 2 board meetings since then, and there has been more of pushback, as I'm sure that we'll hear from your guest, from parents and even some teachers that are concerned that they are not reconsidering their position as of yet. There's still 1 board meeting to go next Tuesday, the 10th. I don't see anything on the agenda, but specifically addressing this. But that would be a last chance for them to make changes or to schedule a special school board meeting if they were to consider making those masks mandatory.
Right. And certainly they've heard a lot in St. Johns County on the school board from parents opposed to mask mandates, right? That drove their decision a few months ago to make masks optional.
Absolutely. Yeah, Melissa, in May, there were a couple of protests, one that were really a large number of parents stormed, it might be too strong a word, but, did come down at a school board meeting and protested very vocally the implementation of masks continuing. I think what you've got here is some debate about, and this is the political side of it, some parents that just feel as though this is a First Amendment free expression issue. You will not tell my children to wear masks. I, as their parent, may decide that is the case, that I would like them to, but you're not in a position to authorize that. And then I think there's some concern about the severity of this resurgence and this variant. And whether this too may pass. I think that parents overall are concerned. They're angry, and I think some of them, frankly, are just frustrated. They're just sort of over this. Many had hoped that their school children would go back to maybe a normal school year, and I think are really being hit by the reality that is not going to happen, and many are just really trying to reconsider their position on the issue.
It's 549-2937. We're focusing on St. Johns County schools this morning. Give us a call. Heather, you're the co-founder of the new group, Doctors and Community Members for Masks in St. John's schools. This has just launched, and you're hoping, I guess, to take a leaf out of the playbook of activists in Duval County. They were victorious this week in requiring masks for students in schools in Jacksonville. Why is this of concern to you and your colleagues?
Well, Melissa, you're right. We were very inspired by the Duval County schools the other day. But the movement, the petition, and the group it really started in the last 4 days by concerned parents. People are starting to get really worried, and we're wondering how we're going to send our kids that aren't old enough to get the vaccine back to school as if things were perfectly normal. We're hearing every day about how our hospitals are at max capacity, and we're not just hearing this from the media. We're hearing it from people that we know, people that work in the hospitals. We're hearing it from the people that we know that are either in the hospital or have family members in the hospital, that have family members in the ICU. We know that this is real, and it's taking a terrible toll on the unvaccinated in our community, and our kids under 12 are all unvaccinated. We cannot be expected to send our kids to school as if this were 2019, and that's what the board is expecting us to do. So the goal of the group is to ensure that this issue is on the agenda at next week's board meeting, and that our doctors are given the opportunity to speak and address the board members directly. And if they aren't going to put us on the agenda, then they need to call a special meeting. These doctors are very concerned and they want to be heard. They're the same doctors that treat the members of the community. They treat our kids. Many of them have emailed the school board members, and they're not being considered. They're just being ignored.
You mean they're not getting a reply back from the school board? We did get a reply back. We should let folks know, from the St. Johns County Public Schools. We did ask to interview the school superintendent, Superintendent Forson. We were unable to book him. But according to the spokesperson for the district, and I quote, "Changes to current COVID protocols have not been discussed. And I know we will continue to encourage parents and families to do what is appropriate for their situations. Masks are optional, recommended, but not required." So, Heather, you live in a very conservative county.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's fair to say it's one of the most Republican counties in Florida. It has very high vaccination rates, we need to point out, but those are mostly seniors. So what's your strategy to try to convince a very conservative school board to change course on this, given the demographics of where you live?
Well, Melissa, Republicans and Democrats are affected by the coronavirus. Republicans are in the hospital with the Delta variant, and so are Democrats. This should not be a political issue. I don't know how it became a political issue. Actually, I do know, but that's just my opinion. But this is about our kids. This is about protecting our kids, and we should not be using them as political pawns. And Republicans care about this issue as well.
Let's go to
I might just
go ahead,
add,
Colleen. Go ahead.
Yeah, I think that this has to do a little bit with kind of a battle over home rule. I mean, I think, there are some rank and file under our Governor DeSantis, who obviously is a very vocal, political figure on the Republican scene, both nationally and statewide. And I think that, when you talk about the constituents here being, very largely conservative, I think that you have to look at what may be at play here also behind the scenes is really folks, even at the school board level, just deciding that they want to do what's right, they think, for their own jurisdiction, and maybe not to defy the DeSantis ban, really.
Okay, let's go to some calls now. As a new group has organized in St. Johns County, asking the St. Johns County School Board to mandate masks for kids as school begins this month. They're particularly worried about kids under the age of 12 who cannot be vaccinated. If they're successful, they'll join 4 other Florida counties, including Duval County, who have defied Governor Ron DeSantis and are mandating masks for students. Let us know your thoughts, St. John's and everybody. 549-2937. Give us a call. Daryl is in St. Augustine, Florida. Hey, Daryl, how are things in St. John's? Go ahead.
A little wet, but it's a beautiful day.
That's right.
Apparently everywhere in Florida's wet. Good show. And it baffles me. We work so hard to protect our children, and we can't give them the vaccine, and yet the governor doesn't want to protect them in schools. I have 2 points. I think Nikki Fried and Charlie Crist should attend every child that dies funeral. And I think Ron DeSantis is culpable for any children who die from it, who are contacted in school. And third, when did Florida man move into the governor's mansion?
All right, a little humor from St. Augustine. Daryl, thanks.
This is crazy.
Thank you, Daryl. And we want to hear from everybody's point of view on this, so please give us a call. Marty in Palm Coast. Go ahead, Marty.
I'm just curious. It's just driving me absolutely nuts because I can't believe, okay, the parents don't accept vaccination. Fine. What about the parents of the parents and their parents? Are all of these children going with no polio vaccine, no measles vaccine, no diphtheria vaccine, and all of the other vaccines they get at birth automatically? That's question number one. Question number two is, do you wear your seatbelt? Why? Question number three, do you have auto insurance when you drive? Why? All of those things are government mandated. You're concerned about your freedom, but you seem to lose all concern whatsoever about your children, your neighbors, the community, and the responsibility for everyone else. I fail to understand how you can do one and oppose the other.
Thank you, Marty. Heather, are your neighbors in St. Johns County selfish for fighting so hard against this mask requirement for particularly students under 12?
So I don't know anybody personally who's fighting against masks. I did see the school board in May, and I agree there were some passionate people there. I did notice that they booed a local pediatrician off the stage when she got up to speak. I feel like these are people that are motivated by political or have political agendas. They're not necessarily thinking about what the medical experts are recommending.
And to be clear, both the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Centers for Disease Control, every prominent pediatrician in the area is pleading with educators to mask up children, at least for the first month or so of school, because the Delta variant is deadly and highly contagious. And there are children now in local ICUs with this disease. Here is a message from a listener. Jane tells us, my sons attend St. Johns County Public Schools, and they have no issue wearing masks, but they have classmates who refuse purely because of their parents' politics. If you don't want to mask your kids, keep them at home. It's selfish and not Christian to not think of others, she says. Krista tweets the show, according to Baptist Health, 10% of the COVID hospitalizations on Monday of this week are children. It's amazing people can still have their heads in the sand as this variant runs rampant through our community. Colleen Jones, St. Augustine Record. You know, kids do take their cues from parents. If parents model mask wearing, kids, for the most part, they accept that. If parents express a lot of reluctance and anger about mask wearing, well, the children are going to follow their cues that way too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you're right about that, and I think that is where politics does play into this. I think that for the most part, children that I've talked to for this coverage, on the whole, say that they've kind of gotten used to wearing the masks. It just became sort of, just part of the day. Pack your backpack, put your mask on. I think that parents have more of an issue with the mask wearing than the students do.
Let's go to Gigi in Jacksonville. Gigi, good morning to you. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Good morning. I just wanted to say that I have 5 grandchildren, 2 in St. Johns County, 3 in the Duval system. And as a grandparent, a mother, I don't understand what is so difficult to try to protect your child from getting so sick that they could be hospitalized. There's a lot of things we can't control. Cancer, that's just one. Leukemia, brain cancer, and there's a lot of children suffering from that. If they could have worn a mask to have prevented that from happening, I think those parents would do it in a heartbeat. I just feel like we're on a political roller coaster now, and it's like if you wear a mask, you're not being politically correct. And it's a shame. We need to protect our children. How would you feel if you knew your child unmasked made another child sick? I mean, it doesn't make sense to me. And I think as a nation, we need to quit this bickering and making everything political. Can we just come together and get rid of this COVID? I can't believe we're back here again.
Gigi, I know exactly how you feel. Thank you. And I best wishes to your grandkids. Okay. Heather, co-founder of Doctors and Community Members for Masks in St. John Schools. That's certainly the argument you're going to be making to the St. Johns County School Board to try to get on the agenda and get them to at least discuss this. Will you ask them to do something similar to what Duval County did? Mandate masks, but give parents an opt-out. If they choose not to mask their child, they would sign a form saying they're opting out.
Well, that's something that we need to discuss. I mean, really right now the goal is to get on the agenda and to be heard. And we're not getting any indication that they're going to do that. So the focus has primarily been on getting the doctors on the agenda or a special meeting. But I think it's a good first step. It would put the burden on the parents to fill out paperwork, the parents that don't want their kids to wear masks. It's something.
And Colleen Jones, there's now a petition at change.org about this that has garnered thousands of signatures. In covering the St. Johns County School Board, they've been pretty firm on saying they won't even put this item on the agenda. How much pressure do you think it might take from the public for them to change their minds?
It's hard to say. I mean, we're just coming off the heels of another movement with the school dress code policy that took months upon months of parents and online petitions, tens of thousands signing their names, both students and parents, to move that issue forward. And change was just made some revisions at just this past Tuesday's meeting. But again, that was not a public safety issue.
That was over that photo flap, the yearbook flap where they photoshopped female students' pictures, right, to cover up their chests and shoulders.
Some large-scale inspections of students who felt they were humiliated by administrators for being in violation of dress code. But again, this school board is they are pretty lock in step. They don't communicate very much outside of the board meetings. There's not, to be honest, a whole lot of dissension and discussion with differing viewpoints up on that podium on the dais. And again, it did take quite a lot for the pushback to move the needle on the dress code issue, including online petitions. So I don't know. It remains to be seen, and the clock is ticking, obviously, before the start of schools.
Rachel in St. Augustine. Good morning, Rachel. You're on the air.
Good morning. I just wanted to say, well, first of all, I didn't hesitate to get my vaccine. When you read the information when you get your vaccine and it says that it's not FDA approved, it's only approved for emergency reasons, that did give me pause for getting my kids vaccinated. But as soon as I heard that kids were getting hospitalized, I got them vaccinated. But what I'm concerned about is the teachers. I mean, the teachers are going to be in a classroom with kids that are not vaccinated. Why are we not protecting them as well? And, the cases throughout the country have shown that we can require, people to be vaccinated. So I know the schools are public and we have our governor, working against our health and safety, but it just seems like we should be requiring it of students, 12 and older, and of the teachers to protect everybody.
Thank you, Rachel. Heather, teachers in the St. Johns County schools, let's talk about them too. because in Duval, right over the county line, masks are required for all teachers and staff and now students. Have you talked with any teachers in St. John's?
There are teachers that are members of our groups. They don't want to be named because they're afraid of losing their jobs. But yeah, teachers want this too. They're scared as well. It's affecting everybody, no matter your age. Everybody in the school.
Well, we will follow this. We will see what happens with the upcoming St. Johns County School Board meeting. I want to thank you both, Colleen Jones, reporter for the St. Augustine Record, and Heather Peef, the co-founder of the new group, Doctors and Community Members for Masks in St. John's Schools. Find them on Facebook and their petition at change.org. Thank you both so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank
Melissa.
you.
Much more still ahead. Later in the hour, why North Florida hospitals say they're very worried about a critical nursing shortage in this pandemic. But up next.
I got her phone after she passed. I needed to know because we had suspected when she got so sick that maybe she hadn't been vaccinated.
One Jacksonville man's heartbreak. After his mother's death from COVID-19, he discovers she lied about her vaccination status. That's next. Well, a Jacksonville family is in mourning this week. Like so many others, they lost their mom to COVID-19. She was 75 years old and was receiving treatment at Baptist Beaches Hospital and put on a ventilator when she passed away a few days ago. Her family, of course, was heartbroken, but they had hoped all along that she would make it because they believed she had been vaccinated. That's what she told them. But here's the twist. This woman was 75 years old and healthy, but she told her adult children she had gotten the vaccine. She lied to them. She never actually did get the shot. Now, her son, who has asked that his family remain anonymous, says the reason was sadly all too common. His mother fell victim to conspiracy theories and misinformation about the vaccine, and she didn't want to argue with her kids, so she just lied to them. He also wants people to know that his dad, who was older than his mom and even had more comorbidities, did get vaccinated and lived, even though his father also did get sick with COVID. So, how did they figure all this out? Well, after their mother passed away, they went through her cell phone, and it was then that they realized she'd created an elaborate deception about her vaccination status. Take a listen to this family's story. Hey, so good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
And let me begin by expressing condolences to the loss of your mother to this terrible pandemic. I'm so sorry.
Thank you.
I know it's got to be gut-wrenching for you and your siblings. So can you tell me what happened with your mom?
She initially got sick. It's been about 2 months now. She went to urgent care. She had some symptoms that seemed like they might be COVID. I know she already, only a little bit into this, had a very bad cough and tried to get some help at urgent care. Came back home, was with us for about another 2 weeks. Then she went into the hospital, came out shortly after, and then went in again and stayed there for about a month.
Was she on a ventilator at any point?
She was. It was about 2.5 weeks into being in the hospital.
Okay. And so your mom was 75 when she passed away, in pretty good health, and
Yeah.
you thought she had been vaccinated before she got sick, correct?
Yes. She was regularly working and went on 3-4 vacations a year. She was not, I know people have a picture of a 75-year-old in their head, and I can assure you that that picture is probably not an accurate picture of my mom.
So, yeah, a vibrant lady then.
Yes. And our understanding was that she was vaccinated. She had encouraged people in the family to get vaccinated. Never dissuaded anyone, never dissuaded myself or my wife or her husband. There was no pushback at all, and she had told us that she had been vaccinated. So that definitely, I think, colored the experience. I had a lot more hope that she would recover from this.
Yeah, that she was going to pull through. So then your mom passed away recently, just a few days ago, and then after she died, you discovered that, in fact, she had not been vaccinated. Can you tell us what happened there?
I got her phone after she passed, and I needed to know because we had suspected when she got so sick that maybe she hadn't been vaccinated because my mom was sort of on the fence about that sort of stuff. Never made it very clear that she was that opposed to the vaccine. But when I got her phone and when we started getting her records and when my dad reconsidered that the hospital had openly told him that she wasn't vaccinated early on in this process, and he had corrected them and said, no, she was. Here is the date when she was vaccinated, because he remembered when she had come home and told him. So yeah, that's when we found out, and the emotional landscape changed a lot after that.
So you're saying you went through your mom's phone after she died and you discovered that she had been, I guess, lying to you about getting the vaccine, that she had not. How did you figure it out?
She had protected herself, is how I would phrase it. I don't want to completely place this on any one person. It was my mother's choice. She made that choice. There were so many other factors involved, including, the informational landscape that we're in right now. But I think she...
I'm sorry to interrupt you. By that you mean she had believed false information about the vaccines being bad or dangerous?
I think it was a mix of that and her not realizing how bad things were. I think it's so difficult to really know until you're in it. I mean, even myself, who got vaccinated as soon as I could, it's so much worse than it appears from the outside when you're looking at the hospitals that are full and the pain and suffering that these people are going through.
Yeah, and I know you had been concerned about the care she was getting because they were so full. But let me ask you, where was, I'm just curious, like, did you see a text message or something that your mom had sent that made you realize, she didn't get the vaccine after all?
Yes. So there were texts regarding that, including, one of the most heartbreaking texts. And, we have seen this from other places, that her being inside and going through that and realizing that she should have made another choice. And that was really what made it clear. She never outright just said it, but at that moment in the text when she said, I would have, I would have made different considerations if I knew how bad this was.
Right. Well, why do you think your mom told you that she was vaccinated when she really wasn't?
Some of that is surely on me and the people around her. She had many people around her that I think she knows would have been very aggressively responsive to that information. We would have been angry. We would have pushed her to do something that she was not prepared to do. So in a way, I think that lie was just a defense mechanism. She knew that the heartache that it would cause her to have to get into all these arguments with so much of her family that doesn't agree with that choice that she made.
I see. And, this is something that's happening in families all over the country right now, particularly with adult children trying to convince their parents to get vaccinated, or the reverse. Parents upset that their adult kids won't get vaccinated. So as you share your family's story, and it's so heartbreaking to realize that your mom, before she passed, she realized, I should have gotten the vaccine. What would you like people, I guess, listening to this to take away from your family story?
I think I want people to know, firstly, that my mom was a very smart woman. She spent her entire adult life working in the medical field as a nurse, and then later counseling people with drug and alcohol addiction and other issues and disorders. She dedicated herself to taking care of people. This was not a woman who was not smart. This was not a woman who had been roped in. We've seen nurses and doctors even that are unwilling to get this vaccine. And I think, one, the politicization of this, it should not be a factor. I have no agenda towards anybody that hears this. The only thing I want is for you, if you haven't been vaccinated, to reconsider, because I just want you to be alive. I want you to have a better chance. Know that my mom would have had a better chance, and I want anybody out there to know that I don't feel shame towards you. I don't think you're stupid. I think you have made your choice, and I would ask that you reconsider it, because the people around you will experience so much pain if they had to lose you over something that's been twisted into this infighting left versus right nonsense, because that is not what this is about.
Well, I want to thank you for sharing that with us, and I'm so sorry, truly sorry, that you've gone through the loss of your mom. I lost my mom a long time ago, and I know exactly how painful it is. So thank you so much for appearing and talking to me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, hospitals are under tremendous stress right now due to this surge of COVID, and they really need more nurses. Our ICUs are at capacity, and many nurses are accepting lucrative travel nursing contracts. Some of them pay up to $70 an hour. This is leaving local hospitals without sufficient nursing staff. And amidst this crisis, some hospitals are limiting the number of nursing students they allow into clinicals. What does this mean for public health in our area? We're pleased to welcome Cynthia Cummings, RN, professor and interim director at the School of Nursing at Brooks College of Health in Jacksonville. Hi, Cynthia. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, how are you?
I'm great, thanks. How bad is the nursing shortage in our area and in Florida?
It's very bad. A number of nurses have left nursing because of of the crisis and the things that are happening in the hospitals. And just like you said, some are taking travel assignments and they're leaving the bedside. A number of them are even going back to higher education places to advance their practice. And a lot of it has, been spurred on by what's been happening with COVID and the fact that it is just unbelievably stressful on them.
Right. I mean, I honestly, I couldn't blame a nurse for wanting to step away from that environment. It's got to be so incredibly tough. But the problem, of course, is that we need nurses in hospitals, given that our hospitals are being strained to the breaking point. So
Absolutely.
What are hospitals doing about this in our area?
Well, it is such a tough situation, and they really are trying to get nursing students back in there. And I can tell you that we at UNF have been really lucky to keep our students in the hospital setting for the most part. We were out when COVID first hit last spring, so partially in the summer, we were out of some facilities because their staff nurses, were under such pressure, and it was difficult to keep the students in there. But since then, our nursing students have been in almost every facility in Jacksonville, so we've been able to keep our students in there. But that being said, we are strongly recommending and now really requiring our students to get vaccinated because the hospitals are requiring that. So we're asking our students to be vaccinated. They are being supplied with N95 masks, and they have all the PPE to be in those facilities. And they're actually, being trained to take care of these COVID patients as well. So we're doing everything we can to keep the nursing students in there and really try and promote them to stay in the Jacksonville facilities. There's been a number of hospitals that have even helped by giving scholarships to students to try and keep them there. And a lot of students are coming on as PCTs, patient care techs, at the hospitals so that they can get acclimated to that institution and then will stay on once they graduate. It's been a really difficult situation for the hospitals. And, everybody's kind of learning as they go.
Sure.
It's like, they're just kind of learning what works best and, to try and keep everything going.
Keep it going. Hearing you talk about how serious the situation is interesting, given that the governor held a roundtable with hospital CEOs yesterday and said there was no nursing shortage or nursing staffing crisis in the state of Florida, which is, based on everything you're telling me, a flat-out lie.
I've probably been in the hospital. Yeah.
I mean, what's your reaction to the governor saying, "Oh, we don't have a problem with a nursing shortage"?
Well, then maybe he needs to walk on a floor sometime and see what it's really like and see what those nurses are. It's different taking care of 6 and 7 patients that have COVID. I mean, it's unbelievably difficult and unbelievably hard.
What's the hardest thing about it?
I think some of it is the fact that these patients are scared, and the only face they see is that nurse or that tech. And they are, they're asking for help. They can't breathe. They're scared to death that they're going to die. You're trying to handle not only their worsening respiratory status, but you're giving them a lot of new medications that we didn't have even a year and a half ago. So you're learning how to give these meds. You're waiting for something to go wrong that possibly, they may need to be intubated and taken to the ICUs. And you're constantly on your guard. It's like these nurses are under 12 to 14 hours of constant stress as to what's going to happen to my patient. And nurses really take this seriously. I mean, these patients, they know that they're the one that's there, their lifeline to get them help. And it's hard to turn that off. You can't, you work your shift, and it's hard to go home and just turn that off and say, I think about this anymore. You can't do that. You can't. It stays with you.
It will be interesting to see whenever we do get out of this pandemic, how this affects the ability of nursing schools to recruit and retain qualified nurses, because they really the Union for Nurses says they should now be receiving hazard pay. It's become almost like becoming a soldier going to war.
I don't think people realize how hard it is on us. I mean, if you see patients die in front of you and you hold their hand while they're dying, you can't turn that off. You can't just say, "Oh, okay, I'll go back and I'll come back tomorrow and everything's fine." It's not. That really affects you.
Sure.
Day in and day out.
So then,
and with these numbers, I can't believe. The governor.
I'm sorry to cut you off. The Department of Health and Human Services just reported a new all-time high number of COVID hospitalizations in Florida. This just crossed 12,888 inpatient beds. Okay, so in the short amount of time we have left, Cynthia, how are hospitals going to try to make their way through this?
I think, like I said, it's kind of learning as you go. They're trying really to recruit nurses to their facilities, and sometimes that means spending a lot of money to get them to come and stay. So trying to entice them in there, and then also with the schools, like I said, they're trying to do some scholarships. They're trying to bring them on as PCPs. They're really trying to promote their hospital in the best light that they can to get them to come
and stay. And we'll have to leave it there, but I really appreciate you sharing the crisis with our listeners and giving us a picture into what's going on in our hospitals with the nursing staff. Thank you so much. Cynthia Cummings, she's a professor, registered nurse director, interim director of the School of Nursing at Brooks College of Health. Thanks so much.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. Bye.
And we'll be right back.
Announcing Vickers Landing at Oak Bridge, bridging retirees with an all-new Ponte Vedra Beach community, featuring new homes, a resort lifestyle, and a life plan for every stage of aging. Information at vickerslanding.com.
Ascension St. Vincent's. Care is listening and delivering personalized plans from a team of specialists dedicated to providing the latest technology and treatment at every step. Information and appointments at getjackshealthcare.com.
Suicide often takes family and friends by terrible surprise. What if it could be predicted? Harper's Magazine associate editor Will Stevenson joins us to discuss the emerging field of suicidology, which hopes to explain the act and its precursors while gaining a deeper understanding of its complexity. That's next time on Think. Tonight at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
I'm Jane Clayson. This is not the first time the Olympics have been hosted during a pandemic. In 1920, athletes competed in Belgium just months after the Spanish flu killed millions.
When it came to the Olympics in Belgium, they didn't make any special preparations, just kind of hoped for the best.
That's next time on Here and Now.
Today at 2 on WJCT News 89.9.
It's commonly referred to as the change. But how much do we really understand about menopause? And while the average age of menopause is 51, perimenopause refers to the time when individuals start to experience significant menopausal symptoms. So what can the latest science teach us about menopause? We explore its impact on health, work, and relationships, and potential treatments. Next time on 1A.
Today, starting at 10 on WJCT News 89.9.
Welcome back. Well, he is a pre-release case manager at Jacksonville's Operation New Hope. They help returning citizens leaving prison, get back into the community, find jobs, and build their lives. Ronnie Cage has now started a program for incarcerated fathers, and his work at the Baker Correctional Institution has received national praise. I spoke with Ronnie about what he calls forgotten fathers. Take a listen. Ronnie Cage, good to talk to you. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks so much, Melissa.
So, you work at Operation New Hope, which is doing amazing things in this community. And several years ago, you started a fatherhood program through the organization, working with incarcerated dads. So, tell us more about this.
Well, in 2014, I came on with Operation New Hope, and when I came on as a Fatherhood Initiative program coordinator, because at the time, Operation New Hope, although we're doing great work in the community, helping men and women returning from prison get jobs and providing other services, we weren't working with fathers. And I found that kind of odd. And I said, wow, we need to do some work with fathers who are incarcerated because, sometimes I call them the forgotten fathers. But sometimes we forget about guys who are incarcerated, who are fathers. When they get out, they come home and they have to try to establish their relationship again. So we weren't doing any work with men or fathers. So I took it upon myself to reach out to Baker Correctional Institution and talk to them about implementing the fatherhood program at their prison. And we did a sign-up about a month before class action was started, and guys went absolutely crazy over the fact that they could take a inside-out dad class that's targeting fathers and helping them build better fathering skills. So we had a lot of guys sign up. So we started in 2014, and we've been going strong ever since.
And it's called Inside Out Dad?
Yeah, Inside Out Dad is the curriculum we use. It's from the National Fatherhood Initiative. It's the #1 fatherhood program in the country, and this is the #1 curriculum in the country for incarcerated fathers. It's a great curriculum, 12-week curriculum. And what's so special about it is we do a cap and gown ceremony. Guys can invite their family members. And, a lot of guys, was surprising, a lot of guys who are incarcerated, some of the guys tell me that it's really big for them to graduate with a cap and gown because some of them never graduated.
Right. That's got to feel good.
Yes.
And it's got to feel good for you that this has been replicated, this has been recognized nationally.
Yes, it does feel good. But what really feels good, Melissa, is to see the light turn on in a guy's eyes and in his way of actions to get him to see that, wow, I've been doing this all wrong. As a lot of times we tend to think just because these guys are grown that they should know how to be a father. And being a father is a learned skill. Even for fathers who are out of prison, it's a learned skill. Either you learn to do this, or you didn't learn to do it. And sometimes, I always say, hurt people hurt people. Sometimes guys do it the wrong way because they were hurt by their father, so all they know is to not be there for their children like their father wasn't for them. Or sometimes you have guys, like a couple guys in my class now, who state that I want to get this right because I know how it feels not to have my father in my life, so I don't want to ever do my children like that. You know what I mean?
Sure. So where can people learn more about Inside Out Dad?
They can call, well, if you want to, know about the curriculum, they could just go to National Fatherhood Initiative. It's the #1 fatherhood program in the country. Go on their website to learn about the Inside Out Dad curriculum and what all are the topics that they deal with. Or if you want to know about the Inside Out Dad program up on Operation New Hope, you can give me a call at 904-354-4673, extension 148, and I can talk with you about what I do with Operation New Hope and the Inside Out Dad program that we do here.
Well, congratulations on this work, and I'm so glad we could talk to you about it. He's Ronnie Cage with Operation New Hope here in Jacksonville, and the 12-week program is called Inside Out Dad. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you so much, Melissa.
And thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks to all of our guests and callers. And thanks to producer Heather Schatz, director Josh Torres, associate producer Catherine Hobbs, editorial director Jessica Palumbo, and digital editor Bill Bortsfield, and the entire WJCT News team. Keep your feedback coming. Send those emails to firstcoastconnect@wjct.org. And our podcast will be up, as it always is, later today on all platforms, including the WJCT app. I'm Melissa Ross. We'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow for our Friday Media Roundtable. In the meantime, get tested, get vaxxed, and get masked.
Support for First Coast Connect is provided by Baptist Health and the North Florida